I lived in Dubai for the last 4 years. One of the most fascinating things that I've seen here, and not in any of the places I lived in before, is the frequency level at which roads keep changing. So show of hands, how many of you thought you were taking the usual road to only find yourself at the dead end or the crossroad, not knowing which direction will take you to your destination? Yeah, I'm glad to see that I'm not the only one here. However, I am not here to speak about the work of the Road and Transport Authority. The kind of crossroad I'm referring to is the one that we keep facing as we cruise through our life journey. I'm sure that most of you, if not all, have at least once in your life found yourself at that life junction where you had to make a decision or a choice about the next direction. So my question to you is, how did you go about making that choice? I want you to take 5 seconds. 5 seconds, think of a recent decision you made and ask yourself, how did you make it? Well, let me take you through my journey of decision making. I'm one of 5 sisters. Yes, 5 girls, no boys, and my dad is a happy man. Okay? That's what he says. Growing up, people used to say that I'm smart, independent, strong-headed girl that would be going places. I lived my life trying to live up to that image. The image that society, family, and friends had of me. I went to university to please my parents. I started my career working on rig sites just to prove that girls and women can do it, can work on rig sites, not an issue. I stayed in jobs longer than I need to or had to, only to prove to people, or not to be called actually a failure. And I buried myself at work and continuous travel, only to avoid the question, Amel, when are you planning to have kids? And the list goes on and on and on and on. This kind of behavior continued to guide my life choices until when? At the top of my game, with an extremely successful career, a loving, caring husband and family, a growing business, the ball dropped. I hit the wall. I found myself at dead end, with no clear direction, not even a hint for the next move. For the first time in my life, I experienced an inexplicable helplessness. I was no longer in control of my life. For weeks and months, I saw myself crying non-stop. And I didn't know what I was crying for. All I knew is I couldn't stop myself from crying. I saw the doubt actually settling into my life. Decisions that used to take me seconds to make in the office were now taking me days, weeks, and if only I was to pull the plug. I saw my voice, my strong, very assertive voice, disappearing on me. My self-confidence, my self-esteem dropped, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I was scared. I was actually scared, terrified to share it. A couple of months later, I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed with clinical depression. Yes, clinical depression, or what people around me prefer to call a burnout. And oh boy, what a relief to hear that. At least now I knew what was wrong with me. I knew why I was crying. I knew what was happening to me. And I could do something about it. That's what I thought. My husband, my parents, and my sisters told me, it's a matter of a couple of weeks, Amel, and you will snap out of it. Knowing you, Amel, you will be no problem. Just take the tablet and you'll be fine. And I thought, yes, I will be fine. Couple of weeks? I wish. Couple of months? It would have been great. Try 2 years. 2 full years of hell. 2 years where a simple task such as getting out of bed and getting ready for a 9 o'clock meeting was a chore. Things that used to bring me pleasure and joy, such as listening to music, meeting friends, socializing, going to theater, dancing, were an absolute nuisance. I was scared. I was terrified, mortified. And I kept asking myself, where did I go wrong? Why did this happen to me? Why me? And why now in particular? I was so angry. I was angry at myself for not being able to fix myself. I was angry at my husband because he couldn't help me heal. I was angry at my parents because they didn't prepare me for this junction. I was angry at the world for reducing me to the person I became. All I wanted at that time is to feel alive. That's all I wanted, is to feel joy, to feel happy again. And when I thought about it, I got even more scared. Scared to not know how to be happy again. I was so ashamed to tell people what was wrong with me and what was going on with me, that I buried myself and I stayed prisoner of my house for months. For the first time in my life, I understood the true meaning of the F word. Fear. Fear with a big capital F. I realized that all choices that I made until then were driven by fear. Fear to lose face, fear to disappoint loved ones, fear not to be there, and most importantly, it was the fear to not live up to the labels and the persona I created for myself. And I'm sure that we all have labels to live up to. Let me tell you a little bit about the labels I had of myself. Strong, independent, tomboy. Those were my labels growing up as a kid. And they were the ones I built my entire adulthood around. Strong, synonymous of no space for emotions, no time to be vulnerable, ruthless. Independent, I can take care of myself. I don't need anybody. I'm invincible. Tomboy, oh boy, don't go there. I can't be feminine. No dresses in my wardrobes, no high heel, no makeup, nothing, absolutely nothing that will make me look or feel or even identify with the weaker sex. How sad is that? I allowed few adjectives to define my entire existence. All I could tell you about that time of my life, it was that it was the most terrifying time of my life, but also the most liberating time of my life. For the first time, I did not need to manage other people's expectations or feelings. I didn't need to do anything that I didn't want to do. Going through depression was actually a blessing rather than a curse. It was a forced pause, but that forced pause allowed me to reflect and review my life. It was a rebirth to me. It was an awakening of how I wanted to live my life moving forward. What those 2 years taught me, it was the value and the power of vulnerability for healing. The ability to fall and knowing that somebody will be there for you. It's a blessing. Letting go, it's a blessing. I know I learned the importance of living life honoring my values and the gift that comes from them, rather than trying to live up to labels. I also understood the true meaning of owning my feelings and my emotion, and why they shouldn't be affected and dictated by what people think of me. Now I am in charge of my life, and I'm thriving, not surviving. I rely on my intuition to guide me. I rest when I need to rest. I go into introspection when I feel like it. I connect and grow as I feel. And I take time to celebrate my life and its successes. And one of the key lessons I learned through that process is that we are all at a choice. Yes, we all at a choice. However, it takes courage to act on it. And when it comes to making choices, all I needed to do is shift the source from fear to courage. And let me tell you a little bit more about what I mean by the word courage here. When we hear the word courage, words such as bravery, warrior, daring, force comes to mind. However, if you were to look at the word courage in a dictionary, you will get that courage actually comes from the Latin word car, which means heart, place of feeling and care. So courage is about taking care of yourself. When making choices from courage, you need to listen. You need to listen to your pains and joys and practice compassion, acceptance, and openness with self. So, next time that you find yourself in that cruise control mode and you hit that junction of your life and you need to make a choice or a decision, I will invite you to take an intended pause. I mean it, an intended pause. Don't wait until when you get a burnout or depression or a crisis before you do it. And ask yourself, what would you do if you were to drop the fear? Thank you.